So, Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse 29. Prakriter guna sammuda sanjate guna karmasu tan akritsna vido mandan kritsnavin na vichalayet. Translation. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, and through these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Purport. Persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. The body is a gift of the material nature, and one who is too much attached by the bodily consciousness is called manda, or a lazy person without understanding of spirit soul. Ignorant men think of the body as a self. They accept bodily connections with others as kinsmanship. The land in which the body is obtained is their object of worship, and they consider the formalities of religious rituals to be ends in themselves. Social work, nationalism, and altruism are some of the activities for such materially designated persons. Under the spell of such designations, they are always busy in the material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. Those who are enlightened in spiritual life, however, should not try to agitate such materially engrossed person. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activity silently. Such bewildered persons may be engaged in such primary moral principles of life as non-violence and similar materially benevolent work. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada explains to us how, although Lord Krishna is saying we shouldn't disturb the minds of people who are in the bodily platform, Prabhupada explains that the devotees of Krishna are more kind than Krishna because they understand the purpose of Krishna. So they will take the trouble, they will take the risk even to go to the materially absorbed people and try to engage them in Krishna consciousness. And this, of course, is what devotees do often when they go for Harinam Sankirtan or for book distribution. They go out into the public places and they will meet people and they will try to give them some Krishna consciousness. Try to let them hear the holy name and even try to get them to contribute donations, to purchase books and take a book and give contribution. Not that We need their money, but they need to serve Krishna. We want to give them some spiritual benefit. And if they can donate their hard-earned money for the service of Krishna, then it's for their benefit. But you can see here in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is not encouraging that. Lord Krishna said, better not to disturb them, because often you disturb these people, they become very angry, they become upset, give you trouble. You know, we often get troubles. Sometimes it's neighbors, sometimes people of other beliefs, other faiths, other traditions. They don't like what we're doing, that we're different from them. They don't like it. They don't like anything which is a little different. They think everybody should be like them. So it's a delicate subject matter, a delicate thing to know who we can go to and who we can talk to and who we can tell about Krishna. We have to be a little careful and we have to judge. You go to people, and if they get angry quickly, if they become very offensive, then we should just immediately leave and go away. You have to see who is willing, who is going to be a little interested, who is submissive. But if people are very challenging and very offensive, then immediately go away. Don't stay and try to defeat them, because it's not easy to convince people in the Kali Yuga. So it's better not to hear a lot of blasphemy. Better just to leave that place, just go away. There's always other people. You'll always get other different people. And eventually you'll find somebody who's a little interested. So we can't expect everybody to be interested. So you have to be flexible. You have to be able to make decisions, how long to stay and talk to the person, how much to talk to them. It's a difficult business sometimes. It's challenging to think how to help this person, how to bring them to Krishna consciousness. So for some people, the best way to help them is to ignore them and leave them alone. So we have to be careful. Yes? Any questions? If there are no questions, Vaishnavi, you can go to the next verse.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
I have a question, Gurudev. Hello, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yeah. Yes,
Can I
Mataji.
ask?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Gurudev,
please.
during the, one time during the Damodar Aarti, we had gone to a house, and there the husband was very much against the Aarti, but the wife was in tears. She wanted to do the Aarti somehow, and the husband was abusing us from inside the house. He told us to get out, there's no need to do all that. So we pleaded him, we said, at least your wife wants to have the Aarti, have it once and see the taste. He said, no, get out, I don't want to have it. And then so after that we did the Aarti in the other house, in the neighborhood, and we told that lady to come and join us. So she said, okay, I'll come after 15 minutes. And she joined, and she was crying like anything. So what do we do? Did he do the correct thing, or we should have just walked out?
Yes, you have to walk out. I mean, you tried, you suggested to him, why not just try? He didn't want, okay, so go.
Yeah, because the wife was so anxious, she walked out a little later, and then she joined us in the other house.
Okay, good. Not everybody wants you to come in their house. You have to be Careful.
We have faced this many times, Gurudev. Even as we enter and talk to them, they listen and they'll say, no, not necessary. We are doing our own puja, not necessary to come.
Okay. So you leave them alone?
Sorry?
So leave them. You just go. You don't
Yes,
have-
yes. Yeah, that's what we did. What to do?
Okay, next verse.
Hare Krishna. So next verse, Tanmay Prabhu, can you please read that?
Sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Mai sarvani karmani sannyasyaadhyatma chetasha nirashir nirmamo bhutava yudhyasva bhigata jvara.
Can do it.
Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties, as if
Okay.
in military
Don't
discipline.
drop the tape, okay?
Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetas. Nirashi means that one has to act on the order of the master, but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employers, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purpose of Mai, or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become Bhigata Jvara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge. And all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness. As described above, that will lead one to the path of liberation. Mataji, can you please scroll down? Oh.
That's all, Prabhu. Yeah.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
So Prabhupada said this is very important instruction. This is the proper mood in performing our duty. That we perform the duty, working hard, but not being attached to the result. The results are for Krishna to enjoy. So success or failure, we give the result to Krishna. Sometimes we may be lucky, sometimes we may have a good result, other times things may not go well, we have a bad result. But we're surrendered to Krishna. We're just simply doing what we're supposed to do, performing our duty. So Arjuna has a duty to perform. He's meant to go on the battlefield. He's meant to fight. It's not he shouldn't be thinking, oh, the odds are not in our favor. We don't have a good, they have many more soldiers than us. And it's not a very good, it's not equal. He shouldn't be thinking like that. He should only think, what is his responsibility? That he's a soldier, he's a Kshatriya, and he's come on the battlefield. And so his duty is to fight. And so each and every one of us, we have a particular duty, we have obligations, we have to do the work, we have to perform everything, but we should do them in consciousness of Krishna, remembering that he's the master and we're the servants. And the results are given by Krishna. It's not just by our own efforts that we get good results. Of course, we try our best to be a good instrument in his hands, but ultimately it's up to Krishna. And it's not just karma. We can't say everything depends on karma. It's not just karma alone, but it's the will of the Supreme Lord. We have to understand what is his desire. And sometimes we get a good result and sometimes we don't. But we shouldn't be disturbed. We have to remain neutral. So this should be the mood in all of our activities. Lord Nityananda went out to preach to people, and he went with Haridas Thakur. So Lord Nityananda is a Lord Balaram, and Haridas Thakur is a great devotee. He's Lord Brahma. And they went preaching, and they asked people to chant the holy name. And sometimes they had to run. Sometimes they were attacked. But they didn't give up their duty, because Lord Chaitanya had asked them to go and ask people to chant the holy name. So they would go, and they would pick the most fallen, the most unlikely people to chant, and they would go to them and request them to chant the holy name. They would go there and ask them, please, you chant the holy name. And so even Lord Nityananda was attacked, but it didn't deter them from their duty. And the results, they are given by Krishna. So karma yoga is like that. Perform your duty without being attached to the results. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of work, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So this detached mode is very difficult to obtain, of course. How to cultivate this detached mode? We have to become attached to Krishna. We have to change the attachment. Because we're very fruitive. We like to enjoy the results of work. So we think I did it, I did so many things, I got so many results, I distributed so many books, I made so many people devotees, I brought so many people to Krishna consciousness. So we want to be the enjoyer, we want to enjoy the results, but you know, we're not the cause, we're just the instrument. We're instruments in the hands of Krishna. Ultimately, it's all Krishna. Krishna said, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Lord Brahma says rather, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller. So we have to understand Krishna is the controller and we're just simply, we're his servants. Easy to say, difficult to do.
I have a question, Guru Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
In this case of Arjuna and Sri Krishna, they were together. So Krishna could tell Arjuna that what he is doing or what he doesn't want to do. Basically, Krishna could instruct, as we can see here. But with us, that's not really the case. Like we don't have Krishna in front of us. Maybe we do, but what I'm trying to say, we all might think that we are doing the right thing, and we might put an excuse to ourselves that this is my karma and I'm doing it because it's my karma, but it might not be the right thing, and we are not really sure if it's for Krishna consciousness. Most of our business system and the work we do are based on an environment that is not really helpful to the society or even the other animals that we can see now. So I don't think those are, it's hard for me to believe that something that is destroying the world and the poor population is actually in the Krishna consciousness, it is definitely not. But then we still convince ourselves that we are doing this as per Krishna's will. And of course, it mentions here, we know that we should use our mind and intelligence. So my question is, Guru Maharaj, like, how do we focus our mind and intelligence? If you please let us know about that.
Well, we focus the mind we have to control the mind by the intelligence, and the intelligence is seated next to the soul. So you have to take direction from the soul, from the super soul there in the heart. That Krishna's in the heart. He's giving direction to us from the heart. He's telling us. So we have to be willing to hear how the heart is speaking. And to guide us, we have the scriptures are there also. So the scriptures are the words of Krishna. Although Krishna, you say Krishna is not directly with us to speak, but Krishna is here in the form of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And so he's speaking to us through the Bhagavad Gita. So we have to read the Bhagavad Gita regularly, and in this way you can understand Krishna speaking to us and telling us what to do, what should be our mood, what should be our attitude. We have to, we just have to hear from Krishna. So you read the Bhagavad Gita regularly and you'll feel Krishna there speaking to you.
Okay.
And
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Prabhupada's purport is it's Prabhupada speaking to you. You see, even though Krishna, you may say, well, he didn't speak very much. He just spoke a few lines in Sanskrit. But Prabhupada's explaining to us in detail with the purport. So Krishna's speaking, and Prabhupada's also speaking to help us to understand everything Krishna said. So we just have to read these books and everything will be revealed to us. Right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yes.
Prabhupada speaking, Krishna speaking. If we read these books, study the book carefully, then it will all become clear.
Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. It's clear.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the question. Hare Krishna. Vaishnavi?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yes,
Guru Maharaj, I have a question that you said it's the will of Krishna that everything does not depend upon our karma. So is it like Krishna, if he want, he can change the karma, or he usually gives the results according to our karma?
Yeah, well, we have karma, but the will of Krishna is greater than karma. If Krishna wants to do something, he can certainly do it. It doesn't depend on our karma. Karma is not eternal. So karma can be changed. People who believe in karma, there's a philosophy called karma mimamsa, Jaimini. And he has the philosophy that karma is supreme and everything depends on karma. So the idea is that you just have to do your duty. You don't have to worship God. You don't have to depend on God. You just perform your duty. And if you do the duty, if you do the job properly, then you'll get the good result. But we see that's not true. It's not true. Because one may have a disease. You may go to the doctor and you have the best doctor and he really gives you the best treatment and the best medicine, but still you don't get cured. So the medical doctor and the medicine are not supreme. You could say, well, that was the karma. Well, you could, you would think that if you had the best doctor and the best medicine, that would overcome. But it doesn't. And sometimes the mother and father may bring up their child very nicely, and they really take care for their child, and they train their child to be very nice and polite, well-behaved. But sometimes the child may get sick and die, or sometimes the child may even grow up to be very bad. Although the mother and father had tried everything to make him a very nice child, he may grow up bad. So karma in itself is not supreme. And what is greater than karma is the will of the Supreme Lord, the arrangement of the Lord, who is in contact, overseeing the material nature. So it's not karma alone, but you need also the blessings of the Lord. Just like you may want to become a pure devotee. Okay, so you do good karma, and you do a lot of chanting, and you do very strict devotee, you follow all the rules, but you may not get Krishna prem, right? You don't get love of God. Why not? Well, you need to get Krishna's blessings. It's not just only doing good karma gets you everything. Just like Nanda Maharaj, no, rather, Nanda Maharaj was doing Indra Yagya. So Lord Krishna began to preach to him that he said, oh, you don't have to worship Indra. You just have to do your duty. Just do good karma and we will get rain. He said, you don't need to do the Indra Yagya. But it's not true. You do have to worship God. He is a person and it is important to worship him. Of course, you may worship him, you still may not get the result. That may be there, yeah. Just because you worshipped him doesn't mean you're going to get everything you want. But we should recognize how he is the ultimate controller. It's not just karma alone which is responsible. Oh, somebody's got good karma. To some extent, they've got some good karma, but it doesn't stay forever. It's not eternal.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
One question, Guru Maharaj. How can we understand the orders of Sri Krishna and how can we separate them from our own desires?
Well, the order of Sri Krishna is given here in the Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, he's speaking to all of us as well. So he tells Arjuna to give up all material religion and surrender to him. So that instruction is also for us. We have to give up our material conditioning, our attachment to material things, and we have to take shelter of Lord Krishna. So you have to understand Lord Krishna's instruction, and our own desires are just based on the body. So whatever desires we have, you have to confirm what are your desires. That's why scripture is here. You can look in Bhagavad Gita and see if your desires are in line with the Bhagavad Gita. And then you can also consult your spiritual master, and you can consult also advanced devotees and ask them, are my desires proper or not? Material desires will be for the satisfaction of our body and senses. But desires for the service of Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna, will satisfy the soul. Can you understand, Maraji?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you.
Yes, we'll go ahead, Vaishnavi.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Fernando Prabhu, can you please read 3.31?
Yeah, sure, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Ye me matham idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha sradhavanto nasuyanto mutyante tepi karma bihi. Translation: those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Purport: the injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the essence of all Vedic wisdom and therefore is eternally true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness.
So the importance of following Krishna's teaching. We have to follow Krishna's instruction. One has to know what is Krishna's instruction in order to follow it. And so it's important for us to hear from Krishna, just like we're reading the Bhagavad Gita. It's very helpful for us if we read regularly the Bhagavad Gita and hear and try to understand. Of course, in the beginning, when we read it, we won't understand so much because we're not familiar with the topic. It's something quite different from anything we've read before. So we will have to read it. We have to read it again and again. And maybe we have to ask questions about what we're reading and try to understand it more. But it takes a little time, but it's not impossible. It just takes a little patience and a little enthusiasm and determination. You know, these things, they're very important. Enthusiasm, patience, and determination. And then you can understand easily what is being said here. So here in this verse, Lord Krishna is saying we have to follow his instructions. And if we follow his instructions, then we will get a good result. Of course, to follow the instructions of Krishna, you have to have faith. You have to believe in Krishna. You have to trust him. And so it mentions you shouldn't be envious of Krishna. And we shouldn't doubt. We have to have faith. We have to believe in Krishna, that what he's saying is true and it's good for us. And if we do it, it really works. It really helps us. So Prabhupada mentions, in the beginning, one may not fully discharge the injunctions, but because one is not resentful and works sincerely, he will be promoted. Yeah. So in the beginning, we follow a little bit. We don't follow fully everything, but gradually, Krishna helps us that we develop more trust, more faith in Krishna. Then we start to follow. And we get people, they're not following any principles, not chanting any rounds or following any principles. But they're willing to hear, and they come and then they start trying to chant, and then they start following one principle, and gradually, little bit by little bit, gradually they progress. And so it takes some time. But slow and steady wins the race. Gradually, they'll get better. Gradually, they'll get some good result. All right? Any question? Prabhupada mentioned Krishna consciousness is eternal. That means whatever Krishna consciousness we have, we will never lose it. So we have to build it gradually, more and more. Regularly hearing and chanting, we get a little more Krishna consciousness, and a little more, gradually it builds up. So patience is required. Yes?
Guru Maharaj, regarding envy, we love our children, so we don't really envy them, right? We are loving our children, and if our children is getting the more things than us, we are feeling so happy. But why did we envy Krishna? Didn't we think, did not we love him more, or we thought we are separate from Krishna? And just sometimes I fear, after developing Krishna conscious, will we again envy Krishna and come back again, fall down again?
Yes. So why do we envy Krishna? As you said, somebody has something more than us. So, that makes it's a bit hard for us. Someone's, they always beat us. We're always behind them. We're never able to do better than them. So Krishna has everything. He's Bhagavan. He has the most money. He's the best looking, and he's the most knowledgeable, and he's the strongest, and he's the most famous. And at the same time, he's not attached to any of it. And so we think, wow, he's really amazing. So, we have a little bit of appreciation, but there can also be some envy there. We ourselves think, well, it'd be nice to be in Krishna's position. I wish I could be in that position. I think I would like to be, Bhagavan also. Why he always has to be Bhagavan? Why can't I get to be Bhagavan sometimes? So that mentality can come up. So we have to crush it. And the way to crush it is by glorifying Krishna, by speaking good about Krishna and praising him, that Krishna is so wonderful and Krishna's my friend, right? We have to think of Krishna as our very dear friend. He's always with us. And so we should value his friendship very much. That will help us to avoid the envy, right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yes, Guru Maharaj. If our friend envy us, then we will feel very bad, right, Guru Maharaj? Yeah. We are doing all the good to our friend, but the friend is envying us, then we will feel bad. So I don't know if Krishna also felt so bad with us.
Yeah, we want to keep a friendly relationship with Krishna. Remember, whatever Krishna has, he's willing to share it with us. Krishna gives much more. What do we give to Krishna? We give very little to Krishna, but Krishna gives so much to us. So we shouldn't mind to give to Krishna. We should be happy. Mm-hmm. Will we read another verse?
No. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Ramya Mataji, do you want to read 3.32?
Yes, Vaishnavi.
Thank you, Mataji.
Et vi et abhisyu yanto nanuti tati me matam sarvanyana vimudamsta vidinasam ashtasha. Translation: but those who out of envy discard this teaching and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavor for perfection. Perfect. The flaw of not being Krishna consciousness is clearly stated herein. As there is punishment for disobedience to the order of Supreme Executive Head, so there is certainly punishment for disobedience to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A disobedient person, however great he may be, he is ignorant of his own self and of the Supreme Brahman. Paramatma and the personality of Godhead, due to their vacant heart, therefore, there is no hope of perfection of life for him. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we heard about somebody having faith and no envy. Now we hear about those people, they don't have faith and they just envy and they don't follow the teachings. So what happens to them? Well, they don't get any good result. Nothing good happens to them. They don't have any proper knowledge. They're misled, and whatever they try to do is a failure. So this way, Krishna is encouraging the devotees that we should have faith and we shouldn't be envious and we should just try to follow Krishna's instructions. And when we don't follow, then we should know that how it's going to give us a problem. Problems are going to come. If one doesn't follow the teachings of Krishna, then Krishna won't appear in their heart. In their heart, Krishna is not going to guide them because they're not listening. Then they don't want to take instruction. So Krishna he's in their heart, but he will remain passive because they don't want to hear. They're not willing to take any instruction. So why should Krishna bother? He's been in their heart. He's waiting. So it will take more time. Of course, some people, some living entities, they'll go down and down and down into lower species of life. And they will take birth in the lower species of life again and again and again. They'll never get any good body. Because that's what they want. They don't want to be devotees. They don't want to surrender to Krishna. They have their own thoughts, their own plans, independent, not willing to hear from Krishna. So they don't want to hear from Krishna, so Krishna doesn't waste time with them. He just leaves them to go through the different bodies, different births, different species of life in the material world. So every moment, Krishna's with us, and he's just waiting. He's looking for a response. He wants to see, are we interested? Are we willing to take advantage of his instructions? If we take advantage of a little instruction, then he'll be inclined to give more. But for those people who are atheistic, who have no faith, they're just envious. It's all just envy. They don't want to accept that there's anyone above them. They don't want to accept that they're controlled. So they just deny the existence of God. Anyone who is an atheist, you could say they're all envious of God. That's why they say there's no God. They don't want to admit that there is a God, and they're envious of him. So spiritual education is very important for people. People have to get knowledge. They have to be guided to understand there's a God, there's a supreme controller behind everything. We're all his parts and parcels. So Bhagavad Gita is beginning. In the beginning, Krishna was speaking, the main point, we're not the body, we're all souls. But these people, they don't believe in the soul. They just believe in the body. And they say, nobody ever saw the soul. You never saw the soul. They talk like that. They will deny that there's a soul. They would just say, there's only the body. In the time of death, everything is finished. So Krishna comes as death to take everything away from them. So for the atheists, God is death. That's how they see God. They see him as death. All right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. So Guru Maharaj, did we get Krishna consciousness after a lot of sufferings? Did we go to the different hells like that? And because of lot of suffering, only after a lot of sufferings we will get Krishna consciousness?
Well, not necessarily. It's not necessarily true that we have to suffer to become Krishna conscious. Actually, we say originally we were all Krishna conscious. Originally we were all Krishna conscious, but somehow we forgot or we turned away from Krishna. We turned away because we became attracted to the material energy. And because we've become attracted to the temporary material energy, that's why we're suffering. So we have to again revive our Krishna consciousness. Most people, they won't even admit that they're suffering. They'll say, no, I'm not suffering. It's okay. I'm happy. It's like Prabhupada tells the story. The man is in hospital and he's covered with bandages from head to foot. He had a terrible accident and he's all bound up with bandages. He can hardly move. And his friend comes to see him and he said, how are you? Are you okay? And the man is all covered in bandages. And he said, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. So people in material world are like that. They won't admit they're suffering. But they are. We're all suffering in the material world. We're all suffering the miseries of material life, the old age, the disease, the death. Of course, the suffering is all in the mind. If we can detach ourselves from the mind, then we can be free of all the suffering. So we have to detach ourselves from the mind, train the mind, beat the mind by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, by reading Bhagavad Gita regularly. Train the mind to understand this Bhagavad Gita. It will be a great help to us. Yes?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, material world is all suffering. Only one taste. Prabhupada gave the example, he said, just like in a salt mine, if you go to Siberia, they have salt mines. And so if you're inside the salt mine, you may have, you may have a nice, delicious fruit salad or cream cake or something, but you're inside the salt mine, there's only one taste, and that will be salt. Everything is salt. So material world is like that, actually. Only one taste here in this material world, and it's not very pleasant. But we try to forget about it. We try not to look at it, and we try to put on a good face and say, yeah, well, yeah, not so bad. I'm happy. I'm enjoying. I'm happy. I'm enjoying. But it's also temporary. How can we enjoy? Just like in the dream. In the dream, you're enjoying. What is the meaning? It's not enjoyment at all. Just a dream, the illusion. So the material world is like that. It's the illusion of enjoyment. All right, let's go on. Chant Hare Krishna.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.